Thank you very much for enrolling in your Pennsylvania dealer training course. First of all, I want to give you some contact information and cover your Pennsylvania pre-license steps. Pennsylvania dealers are regulated by the State Board of Vehicle Manufacturers, Dealers, and Salespersons, and you can call them at 717-783-1697. If you ever have any questions about how to obtain your dealer's license, or maybe you've already been a licensed dealer and you have questions, there's no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is when you didn't ask. So you do have unlimited technical support from the state agency. You can call 717-783-1697. So the first thing I want to do in your pre-license course, I want to cover your pre-license steps. We're going to go over your business location requirements. I'm going to show you how to obtain a federal tax ID number. I'm going to show you how to register with the Pennsylvania Corporations Bureau. I'll show you how to get your dealer surety bond. And then we're going to submit a hand-drawn diagram and photographs. You'll need to provide proof of ownership or lease. And then we're going to create what's called a PALS account to submit your application. Request a background check, do a quick location inspection, and then you'll open for business. Now, I know this seems like a long list, but some of these steps take just a few moments online. I think you can usually complete most of these steps in about a day if you really want to hustle. So the first thing I want to talk about with you is your location requirements in order to have a Pennsylvania dealer's license. You must be zoned to allow a dealer's license. And how do you find this out? It's actually quite easy. Whatever location you want to use, you can call your city hall, or if you're in a rural area of Pennsylvania, call your county courthouse. Usually you can ask for the zoning office and let them know the address of the location that you want to use. And they'll look up zoning and they'll tell you either yes, you can have a dealer's license at that location, or no, you may not. So the state law is very clear. The location that you use must be zoned to have a dealer's license. You're going to need to either own or rent that location, and it must be a permanently enclosed building that is solely for the use by your dealership and must be separated from any adjoining businesses or residences by partitions or walls. Now, it may consist of like a office trailer with skirting and a permanent foundation if your zoning does allow that. You do need to have a private office in your building that's separate from display areas or any type of repair or service facilities. The state of Pennsylvania wants your office to be a safe retail environment that is conducive for motor vehicle transactions. That's why they want it separate from repair or service facilities. So Pennsylvania does not want you completing titles into some garage next to a car on a jack or something like that. So make sure you do have a private office. Your office must have a desk, a phone, and a locking file cabinet for storage of books and records. And I'm going to delve into your records here later on in the course, but you must have a locking file cabinet. This is a state law. And a business telephone line must be located in the building. The telephone number must be listed under the dealership's license name, so please keep that in mind. You're also going to need a sign on your building or in the display area with your dealership name, and it must be visible to the public. So the state wants your location to be identified as a dealership, so you can either put that sign on your building or you can put it like on the display lot. And I also want you to be aware, Pennsylvania state law requires a dealer to post your business hours. So you have to post your hours, and that way that's going to show your customers when you're accessible, whether they have a question about a vehicle they're interested in purchasing, or maybe they need to talk to you about a vehicle they've already purchased. Pennsylvania state law is very clear. You must post your business hours. You're also going to need a display area. You must have a display area. Now, your display area can be indoors, outdoors, or partly indoors and partly outdoors. So you can have an outside lot, an inside lot, or a combination of both. Your lot or display area must be large enough to display 5 vehicles of the type that you're selling, okay? So keep that in mind. In fact, you're required to actually be able to store those vehicles with the doors open. So you want to have a display area that can store at least 5 of the vehicle types that you're selling with the doors open. So it's a little bit larger than just 5 spaces. It must be physically separated from any customer or adjacent business parking. So the state of Pennsylvania never wants a neighboring business's customers parking their vehicle on your display area, and then one of your customers comes in thinking that vehicle is for sale. That's some confusion Pennsylvania wants you to avoid. So you want to make sure that your display area is physically separated from any customer or adjacent business parking. Let's talk about some more display area requirements. Vehicles that are not ready for retail sale, or that are being serviced or repaired, or they've been wrecked or damaged, or they're not being offered for sale, must be stored away from the retail display area. So you don't want to have customers' vehicles or vehicles that aren't for sale or anything on your display area. Only have your retail ready vehicles on your display area. Now, display area dealerships that sell recreational vehicles, manufactured housing, and mobile homes must have a display area of at least 5,000 square feet. I want to repeat that. Dealerships that sell recreational vehicles, manufactured housing, or mobile homes must have a display area of at least 5,000 square feet. Now, firefighting or emergency service vehicles are not required to have a display area. So if you're opening a dealership with the sole intent to sell firefighting or ambulance equipment, fire trucks, things like that, you are actually not required to have a display area. And there's a lot of folks that aren't aware of this requirement. But if you're going to specialize in selling fire trucks or ambulances and things like that, Pennsylvania does not require you to have a display area. Now, any outdoor display area must be properly graded with concrete, asphalt, slag, brick, stone, aggregate, gravel, cinder, or similar materials. So your outdoor display lot has to be hard surface. It just can't be an area of grass or something like that. If you're open during evening hours, your display area must be lighted. And you must also possess what's called a certificate of occupancy. Now, you can get your certificate of occupancy from your city hall or your county courthouse, but the state law is very clear. A dealer must possess a certificate of occupancy that shows that you're legally occupying that location as a licensed Pennsylvania motor vehicle dealer. Now, I want to talk to you also about what's called a branch lot. Storage of vehicles away from your licensed Pennsylvania location may be allowed, but the lot must be used solely for the storage of vehicles. That lot must be identified with a sign with your dealership name, and your sign must state that the lot is for storage only. A salesperson is present at the lot only as necessary to maybe repair, recondition, or inspect or move the vehicles. You cannot have sales activity at a branch location. So let's say you've got a vehicle on your lot that the customer's not interested in, but you have one on your storage lot. You cannot just take the customer over to the storage lot and have sales activity. You need to have yourself or maybe a salesperson go acquire the vehicle at the storage lot and bring it to your retail location. You're never allowed to have off-site retail sales activity. And if you do have that branch lot, please be very aware. You must have a sign identifying that location, and you can never show vehicles at the branch lot. Sales activity will only take place at your licensed Pennsylvania dealer location. The state allows you to do what is known as a single vehicle display. You may display one vehicle away from the display area, but no sales activity or anything can take place there as well. So, you can't have any type of sales forms on that vehicle. The vehicle must be locked and secured. And it may not be at another licensed dealer location. And also you need to have a sign posted that identifies the vehicle is for display only and that it is not for sale at that location. So sometimes this is what you might see when you see a single vehicle located in the middle of a mall or something like that. So, if you do have other questions on that, before you ever have a vehicle before you ever display a vehicle at another location, you might want to contact the state and just make sure all the guidelines are being met. I'm going to make a very, very confident prediction here. I predict when you take the steps that I'm going to show you in this dealer training course and you obtain your Pennsylvania dealer's license, I think that your income is going to go to a whole new level. When you realize what you can do with a Pennsylvania dealer's license and go into these dealer auctions and buy vehicles at low wholesale prices and mark them up and sell them at high retail prices, I predict that you're going to think that you wished you gotten your dealer's license many, many years ago, because this tends to be a very high profit industry. Now, with that income increase, the federal government's going to want a little bit of that action at tax time. So you're going to have to prepare to pay higher income taxes. And in my opinion, that's a good problem, because if your income tax liability is going up, then you have gained a substantial amount of profit. So to show the state of Pennsylvania that you are going to pay your income tax on your newfound income, the state requires you obtain a federal employment identification number. Now, there are companies I've seen out there, they'll advertise, they'll get your EIN for you for several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Well, you don't have to pay a company to get your employer identification number. I'm going to show you how to easily do it right on the IRS website. Or you can even call them directly, 800-829-4933. So let's jump online and go ahead and get our EIN. It's a few clicks with the mouse, and it could not be any easier. You're going to go to irs.gov, and you're going to scroll down to where it says Apply for Employer Identification Number. It's going to give you a little bit of a review. And the first thing we're going to do is enter our business entity. Now, later on in your dealer training course at dealercourse.com, we've got an extensive training module that really clarifies the differences between individual sole proprietor, partnerships, corporations, and LLCs. So you can certainly get some legal advice, but once you've watched that portion of the course, I think you're really going to decide which business entity is best for you. So for this training scenario, I'm going to show you how to get your employer identification number as a limited liability company, LLC. So let's go ahead and click continue there as an LLC, and then you'll need to put the number of persons on your license, and you're in the state of Pennsylvania. And now the IRS wants to know why you want an employer identification number, because you are starting a new business. So select that little link right there. You'll need to put the name of one person on the license, plus you will have to enter one social security number, and then you'll need to choose that you're one of the owners. Now you're going to put the address of your dealership along with the city and address and phone number. And then finally, you're going to put your dealership name. You're going to enter the county that your dealership is in. And obviously, you're in the state of Pennsylvania. And then you select what state you live in. So if you do live in the state of Pennsylvania, you're going to select Pennsylvania twice and the date that you will start your business. You click continue, and then bam, this form pops up on your screen. And this is your new employer identification number document. You'll see your dealership name and address up there. And at the very, very top right of the screen, you're going to see your brand new employer identification number. And you'll need to record this number because you're going to enter it on your taxes next year. But you're also going to enter it on your dealer license application. And this shows the state of Pennsylvania that you are, in fact, going to pay taxes on your newfound income. So record that very important number. There are companies that will charge you several hundreds of dollars to show you what I just did, which is with free of charge, 5 clicks of the mouse. So if you want to go out and pay a company to do that for you, you can, or you can just go right to irs.gov and get it on your own. You can call that 800-829-4933 number to do it on the phone if you want as well. It takes a little bit longer, but if you're not comfortable doing what I just showed you, you can call them directly and they'll be very helpful. You will wait on hold for a long time, but once you get through to an operator, they will help you get your EIN over the phone if that's helpful. You must register your new business with the Pennsylvania Corporation Bureau. I want to repeat that. You're going to register your new business with the Pennsylvania Corporation Bureau. And I want to give you their phone number first. You can either call 717-787-1057. They've also got a toll-free number, 888-659-9962. Or you can email them at ra-corps@pa.gov. Once again, that is ra-corps@pa.gov. And they will respond momentarily to any business type of questions that you have. So let's go to pa.gov. That's the official Pennsylvania website. And you can easily find the Pennsylvania Corporation Bureau by doing a quick Google search for Pennsylvania Corporation Bureau. And then you're going to land right there on the Corporation Bureau of Pennsylvania's website. This is a very, very user-friendly website that's designed for you, the business owner, to easily do any registrations that you need to. So the first thing we're going to do before we apply for our dealer's license is register your business with the state of Pennsylvania. So you're going to click register your business, and that you want to select a business entity. And I want you to be aware you cannot include rental, leasing, wholesale broker, or brokering in the dealership name. That is a state law. So you can't have retail, leasing, wholesale broker, or brokering in your dealership name. You would be rejected if you have any of those word combinations in your dealership name. So the first thing we want to do a business name search, because the state wants to make sure that you're not going to use a name for your new business that's being used by another licensed Pennsylvania motor vehicle dealer. So we're going to need to do what's called a business name search. So for this example, I typed in ABC Motors and clicked search. Well, there already is an ABC Motors. There's a couple of ABC Motors. One's a notary and then one's a dealership. So you cannot be ABC Motors. That dealership name is already taken. Let's try another one here. I typed in XYZ Motors and there was no data found. So now you can easily select that name and register it on reserve a business entity on the same screen there. And you're going to just go through step by step here. And as a training example, I'm going to show you how to do this as a limited liability company. I'm not telling you that you need to start your Pennsylvania dealership as a limited liability company. I'm showing you this as a training scenario. And please watch the business entity section later on in your Pennsylvania dealer training course, where I really clarify the differences between individuals, corporations, LLCs, non-for-profits. So once you've watched that video later on in the course, you will easily be able to decide which Pennsylvania business entity is for you. But for this training scenario, I'm going to show you how to do it as an LLC. And you'll click that file online right there. And the first thing you're going to need to do is go ahead and register and create an account, because we haven't been on the website yet. So you'll click that little button that says register. You're going to go ahead and create a username and password, and always be sure to record your username and passwords. You're going to enter your name, also your birth date, and your email address and phone number. They're going to ask you some security questions here. In case you ever need to retrieve your password or reset your password, they'll ask you some security questions. So you might write down your security questions as well. And once you've created an account, you're going to just easily log in, and they're going to email you a one-time passcode. This seems complicated, but it's really not. It's all going to be automated, and you can always review this video again when you are actually applying for your license. So you're going to select that you're the business owner, and you're going to need to enter your business name along with your name and address and the business profile that you've created. You'll just verify that. And then you'll easily be able to go to your dashboard. And you might make a note of this website that you're going to land on. It's hub.business.pa.gov. This is the official business registration website with the state of Pennsylvania. So once you've got to this screen, you're easily going to click on Business Filing Services, and you're going to be walked screenshot by screenshot through this whole process. Now, as you see there, those checklists that we're going to go down here that you see right here at the very top to the bottom. So we're going to scroll down all these and automatically complete each one of these. So just go ahead and click the next step there, and you're going to put exactly what you're doing. You're going to be in used motor vehicle sales. So make sure and enter that you're going to sell used motor vehicles. You're going to put your address there. You're going to verify your office address. And then you must add what's called an organizer. So you can act as your own organizer if you want to. Sometimes corporations might have a separate party be the organizer, but you can act as your own organizer. So you're going to click the add button because you need to add your name as an organizer. So go ahead and enter your name and your home address right there. So as you see now, you have added yourself as an organizer. So that step is complete. And now I do want you to be aware, if you are a veteran or a small business, they do have additional credits for you, and sometimes they will actually eliminate your registration fees. So click one of those, but if not, then it's still very easy to go through here. They also want to know if you would like to be contacted to learn more about state procurement opportunities. Even though that box says no, I do recommend that you check yes here, because they will send you notifications when they're looking for vehicles, and there's nothing in state law that says the state of Pennsylvania has to buy brand new vehicles. So there's no reason why a used motor vehicle dealer could not submit bids on what's called a procurement contract. And that's when the state's issuing procurement contracts when they want to buy vehicles or other products. So I always recommend that could be another source of revenue for you, to just stay on that email list and let the state contact you for procurement opportunities. Now, you're going to see your registration fees are going to pop up there. And as you see at the very bottom of the screen there, the standard processing currently is $125. If you want to add another $100, then they step it up a little bit. A 3-hour service is a $300 process, or if you want to have that registered within 1 hour, excuse me, have to pay $1,000. I think that $125 fee is going to get you the exact name that you want. Once you've confirmed it, you click the next step there, and you will need to verify a couple of things, and you're going to need to select that you have reviewed all the information. And then you're going to pay for it on the state's secure payment portal. And then automatically, you're going to see a document just like this is going to pop up on your computer, and this is referred to as your Corporation Bureau filing document. So you want to make a copy of this into your records, and this will prove that you have legally registered your new business with the Pennsylvania Corporations Bureau. So make sure and file this, and make sure that you have this record in your records. I do also want you to be aware of annual Pennsylvania reports. Business owners in the state of Pennsylvania must file an annual report every year with the state of Pennsylvania. So they will notify you via email and a postcard before your deadline. And the state does charge $7 per year. So I don't want you to get too focused on this right now because they're not going to send this to you till next year. But watch your email and your mailbox. Dealers in the state, all business owners in the state of Pennsylvania are required to file an annual entity recording, and they do charge you $7, and they will give you an annual notification via postcard and email. Here are your reporting dates. As you can see, excuse me, any corporation is required to file between January 1st and June 30th. Any LLC that is domestic or foreign has January 1st till September 30th. And then limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, business trusts, professional associations, and foreign business entities, filing dates are from January 1st to December 31st. So if you're any one of those corporation entities, make a note of your exact filing dates and watch your email address and your mailbox for those notifications. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can contact the Pennsylvania Business and Corporations Division at 717-787-1057. Once again, their email address is ra-corps@pa.gov. And that phone number is not really advertised online, so I did have to do some digging on the state's website to find that phone number for you. So hopefully that'll be helpful. Excuse me. Next, I want to talk to you about your dealer surety bond. Now, you're going to be required to obtain a dealer surety bond in the amount of $20,000 or $30,000. I'll let you know which one's best for you. Now, is your $20,000 or $30,000 dealer surety bond going to cost you $20,000 or $30,000? No, not at all. I've often gotten calls and emails. You mean I got to come up with 20 or 30 grand to be a Pennsylvania dealer? No. These bonds are going to be based on your credit score. So with good credit, I think you're going to spend somewhere around $100 to maybe $200 a year for your dealer surety bond. If you do have a couple of blemishes on your credit score, those prices can rise substantially, okay? You're required to hold a dealer surety bond just to ensure that you act with a very high level of ethical standards. A dealer surety bond would come into play if some dealer is acting unethically. So let's say, for example, there's some unethical dealer that sells 3 cars with defective transmissions and doesn't disclose those defects. Well, he's broken multiple state and federal laws. So if the state ever finds out that any dealer in the state of Pennsylvania is conducting fraudulent sales activity, they usually have a pretty simple solution. They're going to revoke that dealer's license permanently, and that person would never have a dealer's license in Pennsylvania ever again. But what would happen after that? If you think about this scenario, the crooked dealer sells these defective vehicles. Within a day or so, those customers are probably going to realize they've been duped. They're probably going to hire an attorney. They're probably going to sue that dealer. And if the state of Pennsylvania is aware of any fraudulent sales activity, they're going to revoke that person's dealer license permanently. So what would happen after that to those customers that have purchased those defective vehicles? You know, let's say the dealer has lost his license. He's broke, bankrupt, doesn't have a location, doesn't have a penny to his name. Those previous customers are allowed to sue the bond if the dealer's broke. So, you know, as long as you're operating with a high level of ethical standards, you're never going to have to worry about somebody suing your bond. So we just want to give full disclosure on your vehicles, and nobody's going to come back and sue your bond because you didn't tell them about that defective transmission in that vehicle. So, which bond is going to be for you? If you get a $20,000 dealer surety bond, you may not issue plates. If you get a $30,000 dealer surety bond, you may issue plates. So if you are going to issue plates, you're going to need to take what's called a PennDOT agent training course, which I'll talk about later on in your dealer training course. And your bond may never expire before your license expires. Your bond must match the business name on your dealer license and all your corporation entities as well. And you're going to need to submit your original bond and its power of attorney. Okay, so what's a bond going to cost you? Does it cost 20 grand? No, not at all. This shows you a chart of what your bond should cost depending on your credit score. So if you got above 700 credit, you're probably going to pay $100 a year. If you have really, bad credit in a 500, you might pay $1,200 a year. But I know that seems expensive, but you can actually make payments on your bond if you're trying to get into the industry and get your Pennsylvania license at the lowest possible price. You'll be able to do that and make payments on the bond if that's helpful. I want you to be aware the Automobile Dealer Training Association has set up a bond quoting system, and I want to show you how to use that right now. You can go to dealerslicense.com. Once again, that's dealerslicense.com, and you'll see our website there. And you can scroll right up to where it says bonds, and you're going to scroll down to where it says Pennsylvania bond quote. And what happens here, when you click that blue button, you're going to enter your bond information, and it will take your credit score and match your bond quote with the correct carrier that works with persons of your credit score. So what this does, instantaneously, it will match you with the bond carrier that specializes in your credit score. And I believe this will save you tens of hours of finding the cheapest bond quotes. So hopefully this will help you. Now, when you get the bond quote, you're going to click that little blue button. And I want you to be very, very aware. It takes quite a few seconds, quite a few moments for this bonds quoting system to load. So please be patient. Click the blue bond quote button. They want to know if this is the bond you're looking for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then you want to type in your dealership name and that your business is not listed because you haven't yet got your dealer's license. So please keep that in mind. And you will then select whether you want the bond in the amount of $20,000 or the bond in the amount of $30,000. So if you want to start out with a $20,000 bond before you ever issue plates, you can certainly do that before you've ever taken that PennDOT training, which I'll talk about extensively later in the course. But if you want to be able to issue plates, then you can go ahead and get the $30,000 bond if you think you want to issue plates later on. So you're going to enter your number, phone number, your email address. And then finally, you must enter your Social Security number. It's going to need to do a real soft credit check on you because you cannot get a bond anywhere without a Social Security number. And that credit check will not affect your credit score. So it is just a real soft credit check to evaluate your credit. And then you can purchase your bond right on the website if that's convenient for you. And I want you to be aware your bond is a 2-page form. The first page of the PDF is your actual bond, so you have to sign it. And then you're also going to include the second page, which is referred to as your power of attorney. And your power of attorney is already pre-signed from the bonding company. So once again, the first page of your bond is the actual bond. You have to sign the first page. And the second page is called your power of attorney, and that must be included as well. So you want to make sure you got both those documents loaded on your computer. Once again, if you need that bond quote, you can go to dealerslicense.com and click on bonds and then just scroll down to the Pennsylvania link. And please be aware that you will need to take a few moments before that bond quoting system loads. And your patience is appreciated, but I do believe that will help you get one of the very cheapest bonds on the planet, hopefully. Now, let's talk about your ownership lease documents. You're going to need to submit a copy of your deed, your lease, or your purchase agreement for the premises that's going to be licensed. And I always want you to be aware, as I stated earlier, state law is very clear. Your location must be zoned for a dealer's license. So please do keep that in mind. Now, a certificate of occupancy or local zoning. If you're located in a county, a copy of the certificate of occupancy issued by the Department of Labor and Industry is required. If you're located in a city, a copy of the letter of compliance or occupancy permit from the city or municipality you're located in is required. Let me cover that again for you really quickly, okay? If your license is located in a county, then you need a certificate of occupancy that's issued by the State Department of Labor and Industry. If your license is located inside of city limits, then you need an occupancy permit from your city that the dealership is located in. By the way, if you're in a county and you just need that Department of Labor and Industry certificate of occupancy, you can call 717-787-3806. So there's a big difference here. County dealer licenses are issued, the occupancy permit is issued by the State Department of Labor. If you're located in a city, then you need to get a municipality city ordinance document like you see right here. This one's for the city of Pittsburgh. So if you're inside the city of Pittsburgh, you can go to the city of Pittsburgh's website and get your occupancy permit. Here you see the city of Philadelphia's website here. And then, so you'll be able to get that from your city. And I just want to show you a sample zoning verification that you can get from your city in case you need that. So this is a requirement, and you will need to submit this with your license application. This just shows the state that you are meeting local zoning requirements. Now, Pennsylvania has a step which is called submitting your resume curriculum vitae. I don't know where they came up with that name, but this is a resume. You have to submit a resume of you and every single owner on the license. So the resume curriculum vitae is a fancy word for resume. And you're going to have a work history for each owner, partner, officer, or member in the business and basically establish the reputation of the business applicant for the last 5 years. Now, this is actually very simple to do. You can easily get an online resume generator to complete this step for you, and you have to submit that resume for each person whose name is going to appear on the dealer license. So you can actually go to Google or whatever your favorite search engine is and type in resume generator. And here you'll easily be able to generate a resume that must be included with your Pennsylvania dealer license application for every single person whose name's on the license. So make sure and submit your curriculum resume vitae. That is a requirement for every single person that's going to be on the license. So please do keep that in mind. You're also going to need to submit a telephone bill, a copy of your telephone bill, or a letter from the telephone company verifying installation of a single business landline telephone. The state does require you have a landline telephone because they want to make sure that your customers can get a hold of you if they got questions about a vehicle they purchased from you. So you must either submit a telephone bill or letter from the telephone company verifying installation of a single business landline telephone at the proposed dealership address. And the telephone number must be listed under the dealership's license name. So make sure whatever location that you're using that you can get a landline telephone in there. This is kind of an antiquated requirement because most states do allow cell phones now, but unfortunately, if you're getting your license in the state of Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania requires you have a landline telephone. So there are some states that still require landlines. So you might want to contact your state representative or state senator and let them know that you would like to see this law change and the dealers in Pennsylvania should be able to use a cell phone like most other states. But right now, for the purposes of this course, you're going to need a landline. You're also going to need to submit a hand-drawn diagram of your license location. And it's got to be on 8.5 by 11 paper. It's going to have to show customer parking. It's going to have to show all the doors and list all the dimensions and show any other businesses or residences on the property, and it must be signed and dated. So just make yourself a very basic hand drawing there and make sure you have those requirements, which are going to include all the doors and the dimensions and measurements as well. So please keep that in mind. This is part of the dealer license requirements, so do not submit your application without your hand-drawn diagram. Another step is submitting photographs. So you're going to need to take some photographs of your new business, and this is going to give the state of Pennsylvania a record of what your location looks like. So you're going to need to submit photographs, an overall picture of your display area and office. You must show that the dealership is separated from any adjoining business entity or residence. You need a picture of the inside of the office showing your telephone desk and your lockable file cabinet. You're going to need to show that your display area is separate from any other neighboring businesses or parking, residential parking, and is properly surfaced and adequately lighted if you are open at night. Make sure and show the dealership sign either permanently affixed to the building or permanently erected in the outdoor display area that shows the license name of the dealership as it will appear on the application. And that sign must be visible to the public, showing your posted hours and days that the dealership is open. So did you get all that? Just make sure that you have those. And when you're applying for the license, it's all going to be automated, and you'll be required to upload each one of these individual photographs. So make sure and get your photographs ready to go before you apply for your license. Now, you're going to have to submit some ownership or lease documents. If you're leasing the property, the lease agreement must be for a minimum of 12 months and must extend through the date the license is set to expire. As I stated earlier, Pennsylvania does not allow a month-to-month lease. It must be a 12-month lease, and I strongly encourage you to talk to the property owner and make sure if for some reason you're unable to get your dealer's license that you can get out of that lease. But there are companies that will say you have to stay in the lease if your license is issued, but they might let you out of the lease if your license is not issued. More than likely, your license will be issued as long as you're meeting all these requirements that I'm talking about here today and haven't stolen motor vehicles in your past, okay? So here's a copy of your lease agreement or property ownership document, which must be submitted as well. Speaking of criminal history, let's check this out, okay? You're going to need to list all the states that you've worked in and during the last 5 years. So you need to provide a recent criminal history check from state police or other state agency in every state in which you've lived, worked, or completed any professional training in the last 5 years. So those reports must be dated within 180 days of the date that your license is submitted to the state of Pennsylvania. A volunteer record check will not be accepted. To obtain a Pennsylvania check, I'm going to show you how to do that here at the ePatch website. So if you've lived in another state or currently live in another state, you'll need to submit criminal records from your state agency, and all the reports, no matter what, have to be within 180 days of the date that you're submitting your license. So if you have anything, a background check from a year ago or something like that, that's not going to work. You're going to have something that's more current. Now, if you're in the state of Pennsylvania, I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you. You're going to be able to do this online at the ePatch website. So let's go to that website right now. It's epatch.pa.gov. And you can get started with your criminal history check on this website. You're just going to click on the Submit Criminal History Check, as you see right here. You'll click on the Individual Request because you're an individual at this time. You're going to enter all the information, and you're going to be guided through this step-by-step process. And then once you pay for your criminal check, then your criminal check's just going to pop up on your screen automatically, like you see right here. If you have any questions about criminal history checks, you can contact the ePatch helpline, 888-783-7972, option number 4. Now, what's the state looking for? They want to make sure you haven't been involved in automotive crimes. They want to make sure you never stole a car. They want to make sure you never rolled back an odometer. They're also looking for, folks at the highest level of ethical standards, because here very soon, when you get your Pennsylvania dealer license, you're going to be handling very large financial transactions. And there's a lot of times when you're selling a vehicle, more than likely that vehicle is going to be worth several thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. And for your customer, when they're buying that vehicle from you, that's one of their home's largest investments. So the state wants to make sure you're of a high level of ethical standards. You're going to have complete oversight over very large financial transactions here very soon when you have your Pennsylvania dealer license. And the state just wants to make sure that you haven't stolen a car, rolled back odometer, stolen identity, or did a financial crime. But if you specifically want to ask specific questions about your criminal history, you can do it anonymously. Just call 888-783-7972. Click option 4. You don't have to tell them your name. You can just say, hey, I did this back in 1997. Will it keep me from getting a dealer's license? More than likely it will not, unless you stole a car, rolled back odometers, or committed some type of financial crime. So please keep that in mind. And I do want to repeat, the state of Pennsylvania requires us dealers to be of a higher level of ethical standards than the average person walking down the street, because here very soon you're going to be handling very, very large financial transactions when you obtain your Pennsylvania dealer's license. Before you're approved, you're going to need to have what's called a location inspection. So your dealership location must be inspected prior to approval, and that state inspector must be able to contact the person in charge through the information that's been provided on your dealer license application, which I'm going to show you in the next training module. So you're going to schedule that dealership location, and you're going to need to be ready prior to submitting your dealer license application. So a $45 reinspection fee will be charged whenever this inspection has failed. So I'll show you exactly how to do that later on in your dealer training course. So once again, I want to give you that overview on how to obtain your Pennsylvania dealer license. You're going to need a business location. You're going to need to get your federal tax identification number, your employer identification number. You're going to need to register your new business with the Pennsylvania Corporation Bureau. You'll either need a $20,000 dealer surety bond or a $30,000 dealer surety bond if you're going to issue plates. You need to submit a hand-drawn diagram and photographs, provide proof of ownership or lease. Here very soon, we're going to create a PALS account to submit your application and request that background check. So please keep that in mind. You're going to get that quick location inspection, and then you're going to open for business with your Pennsylvania dealer's license. I know that seems like a pretty long list there, but you can really complete basically all of this in an afternoon if you really want to hit it. But if you do have any questions about dealer licensing, you can contact the State Board of Vehicle Manufacturers, Dealers, and Salespersons at 717-783-1697. In the next portion of the course, we're going to cover several dealer training modules like this one. I'm going to show you extensively how to submit your application correctly through the PALS website. We're going to do what I'm going to call a deal. And I'm going to take you screenshot by screenshot where we're going to go buy a vehicle. We're going to complete a Pennsylvania title and resell that vehicle to the customer at a huge markup. I'm going to show you how to reassign titles. You can do that with your Pennsylvania license. I'm also going to show you how to become what's called a PennDOT agent. I'm going to show you how to easily file your annual Pennsylvania business report. We're going to talk about salesperson licensing. I'm going to show you how to easily charge sales tax. I'm also going to go into very profitable Pennsylvania document fees, which allows you to incur additional profits above the markup, but you have to make sure you're doing those in compliance with state laws or you could receive huge fines. So I got a whole section later on in your training course where we're going to cover Pennsylvania dealer document fees. I'm going to show you how to legally use your dealer plates. I'm going to show you how to also issue Pennsylvania temporary tags on your vehicles. Very easy to do. I'll show you that step by step. I'm also going to show you how to use some very simplified dealer software that will do all your financing and do all your paperwork and sales tax collection with the click of a couple clicks of the mouse. I'm going to show you how to run a vehicle history report, which you need to do before you ever buy a vehicle from an individual or take a trade-in to ensure that you're not buying a stolen vehicle or a vehicle that's had the odometer altered. I'm going to show you proven dealer negotiation techniques where you can get the top dollar for your vehicles. I'm going to show you how to do that. Negotiating with your customer is psychology, and there's a way to win every single negotiation. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how you can offer profitable aftermarket products. I'm going to talk about advertising strategies that'll be very successful. I'm going to show you how to file with the best business entity for you. So maybe you need to be a corporation or an individual or an LLC. I've got a section later on that'll show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you how to export vehicles. And there's a screenshot mistake that shows you how to get a floor plan. It's a floor plan. Okay, so that's a loan for your inventory. I'm going to show you how to get loans for your inventory. The floor is your lot. Sometimes we call that the floor, so it's a floor plan. I'm going to show you how to get guaranteed government loans from the federal government. So if you're needing some startup capital, training module I've got later on in your course will show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you how to get loans for every single one of your customers, and you won't even have to take the risk on that. You can get any customer financed within moments. I'm also going to show you how to start a very profitable buy here, pay here dealership. If you think about how a buy here, pay here model works, when you have a multitude of customers paying you money every month, it can be very, very profitable. You can see an extreme amount of cash flow coming in every month. So if you're interested in starting a buy here, pay here dealership, I'm going to show you how to do that later on your dealer training course as well. If you've not already done so, you can view all the other training modules in the Pennsylvania dealer training course at dealercourse.com. Once again, if you're not already on the website, you can go to dealercourse.com to access all those other training modules. So my name is Dallas Johnson. I'm the lead instructor of the Automobile Dealer Training Association, and I want to wish you the very best of luck with your Pennsylvania dealer's license.